Hi guys, today I want to talk about beginner-friendly flowers that will bloom pretty much all season. So I consider myself a beginner, so this is my experience, and this is what I recommend for people like me who want to try things and maybe not spend too much money on it either. So for example, I'm usually pretty bad at growing petunias, okay? But this one variety, Super Tunia Vista bubblegum, that's so popular, actually is really good. Like, this is just one plant in that little planter, and it's spilling over. It's so pretty. And I did trim it one time because it was kind of leggy, and it was probably sitting in a shady area that was too shady, so I moved it to a more sunny location. I trimmed it and put some fertilizer, and it's growing pretty nice. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. And it's funny because I actually was able to grow this thing from cuttings. So I'm experimenting with that. No, I guess I'll give you an update. I have it in the vase still. I didn't put it in the ground, but they sure grew some roots. That's a vigorous little plant. The other thing I recommend that it will be blooming for you, pretty much the whole season, and they're not that expensive. It's these guys here, Mandevilla, Dipladenia. Mandevilla is the one that kind of is more viney. It grows this little vine branches, and it would grow really big if you allow it. But anyway, they bloom pretty much non-stop if the weather is nice and warm. So I have different colors. I have that one pink and a white, and this new variety is kind of like a purple, which I need to clean up a bit. And I have some yellow ones right there by the pool, which are pretty. And I have some red ones that are not blooming yet in those containers, and there. They are from last year. They are overwintered. Like, you can, and that's the dipladenia in there. You can overwinter them, like in your garage, or take them inside. So even though they're annuals, they will overwinter and come back. So you can save money that way. They might take a little bit longer to bloom the next year compared to just buying, plants already blooming from the store. But it was nice to not have to buy new plants every year and just save the ones that you have. Another nice thing about them is they grow really nice from cuttings. So every time I have like a broken branch, like one of my dogs or kids somehow breaks a branch by running around, and I put in the water, and they will root for you. And here's this little super bells, I believe. That actually grew pretty nice for me and been blooming really nice. But last year I didn't have a success with it, so I don't know what's different this year. And like, for example, this one is growing nice, but the other one that's on this side, on both sides of this plant, they're not really blooming that much. I think it's because that other one was more in the sun, and this one is more in the shade, which they do like sun. But anyway, so the next plant for beginners that I like, that's blooming pretty constantly throughout the season, is a geranium. This traditional geranium, because I just learned that that Martha Washington geraniums is a little bit different than this traditional one. So this is like traditional one, and it's pretty much going to be blooming throughout the season. I also have one right here, and that, like, this one is from last year. You can also overwinter this. I overwintered it in my garage. It came back really pretty, and it will be blooming until it gets cold. You just have to come and deadhead it. And also, the nice thing about it, you can also propagate it easily from cuttings. So whenever something breaks, put it in the water and try to root it, and most of the time I have a success with it. So for example, comparing that to the Martha Washington I have in here, they are different. I just learned that they don't bloom the whole season. They're more like a spring bloomers, and they don't like hot weather. So when it gets hot, you have to put it like in a shade somewhere, which the traditional geranium tolerates sun. It could be left in the sunny area. Well, of course, depends on how hot it is in your area. Yeah, like I just moved these to the shade because they're kind of getting burned, but they can tolerate sun better. The other thing, other plant I recommend is begonias, which they really can bloom a lot throughout the season. Like I have them in my front yard, a whole bunch of them. I will show you in a minute. Also this one here, lantana. This is a Miss Huff lantana. It's more cold tolerant. So in zone 8, where I'm at, I'm 8A. It should come back every year. I actually bought it from like a local lady. You know, so I know it comes back for her, and she actually grows this from cuttings, and that's how she sells them. Because there are also a plant that roots easily, and it will be blooming through the whole season. So that's a nice blooming plant for a beginner, but it does like sun. Like I made a mistake and I planted some like in my front yard, which mostly is shady, and those are not doing that well. But this one is pretty much stays in the sun all day here by the pool, and I have one here too, and they are doing fine with my pink flamingos. And on those planters I also put elephant ear bulbs, like from Walmart, that you buy like just the root. In the wintertime they sell them like as a root for cheap. So that's what's growing in there too. We'll see how big those are gonna get. And some candle lilies. That was also from bare root. And calla lilies for the first time. It's so interesting because when I bought this was orange, and now they're turning red. So what's up with that? So let me show you my flowers here. Let me walk to my front yard and I'll show you my begonias, because that's also the thing that I'm recommending for beginners. That it's a reliable bloomer. Sorry for all this lumber here. My husband is still working to finish that deck that he built. He needs to finish the rails. He's just been too busy to do that. Let me see. So begonias, like this one right there, I bought months ago, a couple months ago probably, like early spring here. For us it's only probably be March, and it's been blooming non-stop since. I mean, it's looking a little bit worse than it was, but it's still looking good. And then if you want to have an annual that's a reliable bloomer, that will be your impatiens. These things will bloom until it gets cold. And I was able to actually take clippings of them and overwinter them inside my house, like put them in the water and root them and overwinter them and grow them next spring. And hydrangeas probably are good too. Those are my 3 that I have here, and not that successful with them, but I mean they're kind of still small. But the nice thing about hydrangeas is that after they bloom, the bloom stays on for a long time. Also roses, like your drift roses, or any kind of rose that has like a small bloom, they will be blooming for a long time. Because I have some roses like with the bigger blooms, and those tend to just bloom one time and then you have to wait for a long time for it to bloom again. Also, beginner friendly plant is Coleus. That thing is going to keep growing and looking pretty. I mean, it doesn't have flowers, but it'll be staying looking nice until, you know, it gets cold. And I also take clippings of that, and when it gets cold, you know, I take clippings and I put in the water and I root them for next season, so I can grow my own from clippings, overwinter them inside my house because they're pretty cold sensitive. So here's those lantanas. But with lantanas, you have to like pay attention. Like the ones that I have here, first of all, I plant them in the shade, which is not good. That's why they're not growing. I mean, they're surviving, but they're not really thriving. There are different kind of lantanas. Like these ones, I ordered them online, and I thought they're gonna be good for my zone. But then when the package came, on actual tag, it was something different. That I think it's zone 10 to 11. So this is probably not gonna come back for me. And you know, here's my little mishap that from last year. It did come back, but since it's in the shade, it's just struggling. I'm thinking about digging these up and putting them in my backyard where it's actually sunny, and putting here some shade-loving plants, because this is mostly in the shade. The same with my poor rose here. I see it's being ready to bloom again, but roses like sun, and this is not in the sun. So here are the begonias. Like these guys, they've been blooming non-stop since I had them, and I had them for probably for a month, or this one maybe for a month, the other one a little bit longer, 2 months maybe. And they're just blooming non-stop. And you know, they are annuals, but they're very easy to overwinter, from what I heard. And I did overwinter some last year in your garage. You can overwinter them bare root, or you can just bring the whole pot. You can bring them inside your house if you want to. See, this pot is from the cuttings that I took last year. The Coleus is from cuttings that I overwintered. And Impatient, which these are both just annuals, but I was able to overwinter them from taking cuttings and taking them inside of my house and growing them in the water first until they root. Actually, I left them in the water for quite a bit. I potted them actually in the springtime and brought them outside. So yeah, they're growing nice. Their pot is probably too small for them, but so that's what I'm going to try to do again this year. You know, I'm just trying to figure out how to save my annuals and make them perennial for me. I also have this begonia here, which is also so pretty and just keeps blooming. And this polka dot plant, I already trimmed it one time because it's growing so fast. I need to trim it again. I'm trying to root that too. Let's see. So here's more of this petunia bubblegum. See how it's blooming nicely. Maybe that one a little bit less, but this one is growing. And this is just one plant. I'll probably need to trim it again. Comparing to other petunia like I have here, that is just staying small. So I definitely recommend the bubblegum petunia. And here's another, like, I forgot the name of it. I lost the tag for it. It was some kind of sunset, rainbow, something rose. Sunset glow, maybe. But it's like one of those miniature type roses. And it's a pretty consistent bloomer. Like, it will bloom many times. It pretty much bloomed the whole time until it got cold last year. And it's so pretty, I like pretty colors. The same with, I mean, these flowers are not that impressive. They're very small, but it'll bloom and they will bloom again and again. It just keeps blooming. This kind of roses. And also this miniature rose is blooming, I think, for a third time already this year. And the Coleus is very beginner friendly, like I said. And you can try to save it if you want to grow it again next year. See, there's another petunia here. Oh, I'm not good with petunias, so I'm surprised that the pink petunia is doing so well. So, I mean, this is my shade garden, so there's not that much blooming here. Unless you like the host that blooms. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you. Let me walk over here too, because that's another one that is always really good blooming. Is one of those sun patients. They just bloom non-stop. They never stop until it gets cold. Sun patients, impatiens. I think some patients can tolerate a little bit more sun. The impatiens like to be in the shade. And I just learned that Vanco likes to be in the sun, and I plant in the shade. And I mean, it's growing, but some of them die. So I guess you learn as you go. And also this one, I can't remember if it was impatient or sun patient. I think it was a New Guinea impatient, right? Also been blooming nicely. Right now it doesn't have that many blooms, but I already see some new ones here and there. And it's so pretty. And that also likes shade. So if you have a shady area, impatiens and begonias like shade too. So impatiens and begonias. Here's begonias. They come in so many different colors, variations, and sizes. I'm sure you can find something you like. And you want something that blooms non-stop, then begonia impatiens are a good choice, as well as geranium, mandevillas, and probably that petunia bubblegum was one of the good ones. So that's all I got for you guys. Happy gardening. Bye.